Hello there, YouTube. Bruce here again. Back at it again with, I guess a build. I feel like this is less of a build guide and more of an Elementalist raise video and like more of like an Elementalist hype up video. This build, this character, level 90, named Full Circle Trap. This character was initially a trap character. I got to endgame with the traps. I didn't really care for the traps. I revamped, and I also bought the Starcaller axe here. So, if you don't know, this is a new weapon. Biggest thing on this is gives you level 20 Starfall on melee critical strike, and I'll go into a map here in just a second and show you what that looks like. It's a really fun weapon, but the more that I've played this particular setup, the more that I've like used this weapon, the more I've kind of just thought to myself that like it still doesn't really do enough. I think Starfall itself just feels a bit weak, and it might just be that running this as Elementalist maybe just isn't the most optimal setup as far as specifically for Starcaller. I think like attack-based Elementalist is actually really great and really strong right now. But I think that Starcaller itself is either a little bit weak or would require you to be either like an Inquisitor to just ignore elemental resistances as well, or to be like a Slayer and just kind of really go, you just build really heavy into a typical Cyclone build with Slayer and then just kind of have this on top of it. But even then, like, I still don't really know how good it is. And that's not to say, so we'll go into a map now, but it's, what I'll basically TLDR say here is that I don't know if it's that, if like how strong this thing really is, just from my own test on this character. It seems pretty good. It's really good at wave clear, but single target, it falls off so incredibly hard. And you'll kind of see what I mean here probably on this map. If you do want to look at the POB regardless, I'll have it down below. I'll probably make some adjustments and like pretend like I got a couple levels, like level 93 or something. I'll pretend like I made a couple adjustments and like it did a few other things to the character. That would be like the optimal path, I think, to moving forward. But as you can see here, very pretty for sure, because I have some MTX turned on. You can see the starfalls are raining from the sky, and it looks really cool. Okay, that's a random just six like axe drop. Cool. But it's a really cool looking build. It's very visually fun, and I should say it's very visually impressive. But as you can see here, it's taken a while to even spin down the hives thing, right? Like it takes a while to actually kill things in a single target scenario. From a clears perspective, I mean, look at that. That's just buttery smooth right there. Like, that's just easy, right? But we're just cycloning, stars are coming down, we're making explosions happen with Herald of Ash and Ice. Like, we're doing a lot, and it's really good and really fun in that regard. So we'll just keep cruising around. I'm not gonna go too crazy. Like, I'm not gonna go into this harvest for the video. I'm literally just gonna run around the outsides here because you can get the idea from this, and then I'll run in and go kill Oak in the center, and you'll see that as well. Like, I won't run this Abyss either. You know what? I'll try to do this Mercenary though too. We are only on a tier 10 map, so I might reasonably be able to, but I might still just die horribly. Let's see. Depends on what it is, I think. Who is it?
Death waits with open arms.
Oh, this is the... I think that's the Chaos Lady, which I'm kind of screwed in that regard. Although I have Crit Shrine now, so I guess quickly go do it while I have Crit Shrine. Go, go, go.
The Trathan code dictates.
Yeah,
So go ahead
I don't
and
have any...
choose.
To be fair as well, this isn't even really going to be like a super fair showcase for dying here realistically. I do not have Chaos Resistance on this character yet. That has been like a big weakness that I'm really trying to solve still, but I don't have any meaningful way to get Chaos right now, so yeah, I don't have anything great there. But we're good.
Oh well, you win.
Like I say, we are still on yellow tier maps here and everything, so we should reasonably still be okay as long as she didn't like instantly turn around and nuke me or something. Spin. Speed. I think just to showcase kind of specifically single target, we'll go ahead and remove Diamond Shrine and that, just because it matter. Ew. Like, look how slow that is. I am way over leveled for this area. I'm level 90. Like, that's really slow. He should have died in like an instant on most other builds and setups. So again, it might just be my own. Maybe I just fucked up somewhere and I just don't have a good setup. It's possible. So we'll kind of go over the tree, the gear, ascendancy, all that kind of good stuff. So this is quite a lot of traveling. You know, we go up here. We wanted Golem Commander here, +1 Golem, increase effective golems. Really, really good, especially because they combined the 2 Golem nodes into just Legion of the Primordial. Super strong. I do also know right now that a big meta thing with Elementalist as well is to wear the new hat that gives you you can have double the amount of golems, and you can only have golems, and it might increase their effect as well. I can't remember. But there is kind of a thing right now to stack golems as much as you can. Unfortunately, though, as I was thinking about wearing that hat, the problem is that we are really, really pressured for sockets with this build because of Starfall. So that's why I'm as well like, I don't think Starcaller on Elementalist is good with how good golems are and how good Golemancer is, and like heralds and everything. I just think that Starcaller is not the play, specifically for Elementalist. It's fun. It is a really fun weapon, but it really falls off pretty hard with the single target. And so I think if you were to just remove Starcaller and instead just put on a staff and just do regular Cyclone, like Shockwave even stuff, just do regular Cyclone, Shockwave, still have the heralds, still have the golems, and just take some of the staff nodes, you know, take Serpent Stance. You can come up here and take like one with the river, maybe even Blunt Trauma. That depends on if you want to knock things away. But you could take those nodes there, maybe even come down here and take like Whirling Barrier, Counterweight, Smashing Strikes, all that kind of stuff. You could go and take those nodes, and you just drop the axe entirely and do that. I think it would just be better and stronger. And I remember when I POB'd like that specifically, it was a huge damage increase over doing Starcaller. And it also enables you to actually stack golems and put on, you know, things like, what is it, Primordial Bond, I think is the unique amulet, right? I have one. Where is it? Oh, Primordial Chain, sorry. So it's Primordial Chain. So you could put on, you know, something like this. You could also put on, you know, the helmet, like I was saying. You could throw on the helmet and have that running around for you. And just do that. And I think that would be a lot stronger. Regardless, though, so we came down here. Sovereignty is just really good, especially while we're using the while we're trying to get as much value out of the heralds as we possibly can. So a lot of good value just going over there for that regardless. And then yeah, like I said, you take Golem Commander. I would also, with a couple more levels, I would actually put points into Discord Artisan here. Would also be a very good value tack on for all of the heralds. The heralds are really strong. And the other thing is also getting the tattoos for increased effective herald buffs on. The reason I only have one is they're pretty expensive. Last I looked, they were like 50C a piece. So kind of if you have the money for it, or if you just happen to have a lot of tattoos hanging around, go for it. This is actually these are actually really good tattoos for our kind of setup while we're just kind of really maxing in on heralds. And then we just kind of zoom down here. We take this node for the attack speed, the rage, and also monsters can't block your attacks is actually really comfy. We're taking Unwavering Stance here, of course, so we can't be stunned while we're spinning. And then yeah, we have some axe nodes. We have Slaughter up here. We have Feller of Foes right there. We have a Cluster Jewel right here. Ideally, this Cluster Jewel, of course, would be a triple setup. You'd have Fuel the Fight, Martial Prowess, and Feed the Fury. Pretty typical stuff. But another good thing that you can do, and you could actually, if you got a Megalo with this, I don't even think they exist, but if you got a Megalomaniac, that was just absolutely insane. You could get this, like, Heraldry here, so that enemies have exposure while they have the exposures while you have the Heralds on. Put on all 3 of the Heralds. They have just minus those resistances, and then still just scale your elemental damage triple. Even if you're not using Starcaller, still just scale that. And then you could get you'd get a second passive here, of course, rather than actually having that. But if you got a Megalo, the most goated one would be I think it is Primordial Bond there. It's a minion passive. You get Primordial Bond and Heraldry, or just Primordial Bond with any of the Herald nodes too. There's a lot of really good Herald medium clusters, so you can get damage while affected by a Herald. There's a lot of good cluster jewels you can get on the medium with that, and they don't have a ton of weight to those nodes as well. So I do think that that's a really good setup. What you could do, again, like I said, if you did decide you're like, you know what, I'm doing the staff thing, I wouldn't want to do this axe, the Starcaller thing. It looks cool, but eh. Then what you do, probably just move this entire Cluster Jewel setup back up top here, you're already right there. And then yeah, just kind of you'd probably still make your way down here if you could, just to get like steadfast and the melee hits fortify and the rage going as well. Would all be good things to have. And you just take some life along the way. Probably cut out all of this stuff. And then yeah, with as far as Ascendancy goes, like I said, we have Legion of the Primordial. We want the golems, the golem buffs. They're really strong. They buffed them. They're incredibly good. They make this build work. Her teeth bother me. And then Bringer of Ruin here so that we can use more heralds and we get more buff effect from them. It's good. And then we're doing Masterminded Discord because, of course, we're inflicting exposure, whether it be through the gloves or whether it be through heraldry down here while we're using that stuff. Doesn't matter. Regardless, there you go. Bada bing, bada boom. And then Shaper of Storms is what I've elected to go with here just because of the increased damage taken by at least 25%. That's a pretty good amount. Then we're shocking everything as well. But you could also take Heart of Destruction. I don't think that's a bad pick either. We will be doing, you are going to be using, you are going to be infecting things with, or I guess it's actually once you hit it's once you hit a unique enemy. But, you get the exposure here, you get the increased AoE and 30 more LE damage and all that kind of stuff. So Convergence would overall be another really good buff to have. And then, like I said, you'd also take Discord Artisan here, just for some more good value right there. But that's basically this character as a setup. It's like, as I just showed, it's fun. It falls off. So I really felt like this character was more of a showcase on, it was more of a showcase that Elementalist is really cool and really strong. There's a ton of cool stuff you can do, especially with like attack-based Elementalist right now and Heralds. There's a lot of really cool stuff you can do with Elementalist. But just I think Starcaller is unfortunately just not that strong. But we'll go over the gear here. So I'm using Power Charge on crit on Starfall just so that we're actually getting power charges just to keep our crit up so that we can keep our crit a bit more consistent. I had threw in Culling Strike just because the damage from Starfall just felt like it wasn't doing anything. So I was like, you know what, at least do something useful and cull things that are at that life threshold, right? So that's kind of what I got going there. Added fire damage just for more damage, elemental damage with attacks, added cold, and then concentrated effect. This is also something I would remove, put in something else like even just like an added lightning damage or whatever else really there. Unfortunately, Trinity doesn't work on Starfall. But yeah, you could do increased critical damage there as well. We are critting a lot, but I had it in there. That's actually what I had in there before concentrated effect. But I wanted to see if concentrated effect would take the grouping of the overall stars and make it tighter, or if it takes the AoE that the stars do and makes that a little bit tighter and deal more damage. And that is unfortunately what it does. So unless you're fighting a big target, you just aren't getting a lot of overlap from the stars, and it just kind of felt a little bit mediocre overall. So, but you could just throw in increased critical damage there, or maybe increase AoE. Maybe you increase the AoE so that more stars do start to overlap. But I still just don't think that it's that good, unfortunately. But like I said, that's just for my own testing. Maybe somebody else out there has figured out something incredibly cracked with this, but that's what I got. A Circle of Ambition. This is also something that's really good for Elementalists and is really cool in general. This is from Uber Cortex. So you can get it. It rolls any of the Herald stuff on it. So as you see here, it gives you some increased reservation efficiency. And then this one hit Ice, Ash, and Sentinels of Purity, which doesn't really matter. We don't care about the Sentinel of Purity damage, but the increased Cold Fire from Ice and Ash is really nice. You can get a ton of really cool stuff on Circle of Ambition, so I would highly recommend looking into one of these, especially if you're doing any kind of Herald stacking with Elementalist. Definitely look into getting yourself a Circle of Ambition. We're using just a regular hat here. Pretty typical stuff on the rest of the gear. It's going to be life, it's going to be resistances, it's going to be, regen or whatever else we can make happen, along with some just like flat damage and some attributes wherever we need it. So that's basically all that we're getting all over the place here. We're getting crit multi where we can squeeze that in as well. We have a Stygian Vice with a Murderous Eye Jewel. And then what you could do as well, if you're not running all three of the Heralds for Heraldry, obviously I don't have it right now, but if you aren't running all three of them, like say you're like, I don't really care about Herald of Thunder, get lightning exposure on hit on your gloves instead. That way you're still applying that exposure specifically for Starcaller. But if you don't have lightning damage, then don't bother with it. But if you do have Herald of Thunder on as well, then you're good to go. And then yeah, so that was gem-wise on the Starcaller. I realize I'm kind of bouncing all over the place because, like I said, it was really more of a showcase of the actual Elementalist, I feel like, more than the actual axe itself and everything. So, regardless, we got Ice Golem, Determination, Precision, Stone Golem. And then in our Cyclone here, we're using Cyclone of Tumult, which if you don't know what it does, it does more damage and gives you more attack speed, but it reduces your movement speed by like a lot. Like this is really slow. You aren't really going to be able to dodge very well, so you kind of have to stop and stop to like move and then go back into it. So that's Cyclone of Tumult. We have increased critical strikes, of course. Elemental damage with a hit, melee physical damage support because we still do a lot of fizz, and then Pulverize right now. If I could change up the colors here, I would, and I would put another blue in here. Probably remove Pulverize and then throw in increased critical damage support here instead. But this is what I have right now. Down here, Flame Golem, Purity, Ash, and Lightning Golem. And over here, Frostblink, Assassin's Mark, Herald of Ice. And then we have one open slot. The one open slot, I really wanted to try to get enough mana reservation efficiency to slot in Herald of Thunder as well. Kind of tough to do, though. You have to get, I think you have to specifically craft a helmet that has, to specifically craft a helmet, I would think, with the essences. Do I even have one of those? Yes. You have to craft it with one of these, have to hit something good, and then you'd have to still throw on the one of these guys to hit mana reservation efficiency implicit as well, and then you'd be able to put on Herald of Thunder with that, which, you know, it's doable. It's just a little bit annoying to do that, so just what I have. And then the tincture that I'm using as well is just critical chance with melee weapons. You can also absolutely use, where is it? There it is. You can also absolutely use a prismatic tincture, more elemental damage with melee weapons. Definitely isn't gonna take you in a wrong direction. But specifically for the case of Starcaller, where we're wanting crits to be churning out, then we want as much critical chance as we can. So that's all we got there. We got a Diamond Flask as well to really maximize crit, and then, you know, pretty typical other flasks. But yeah, that is this character. As I've kind of said, this was kind of a bit of a speed run of this build, this setup, this character. Because as I said, unfortunately, I don't think Starcaller is great specifically with this setup. There's probably a way that you can make this good. There's probably somebody out there that has figured this out, but unfortunately for the setup that I'm doing specifically with Elementalist, it doesn't feel, outside of from a clearing perspective, like this character would be probably really good in like Reach or you know, Legion or anything like that, where you can just kind of cause a lot of pops and kind of just cruise through things. Probably be good for that. But outside of that, any kind of like pushing content, I would personally recommend just put a staff on, just get a really good elemental damage staff, do just a staff build setup instead, still run the Herald, still run the Golems, all that kind of good stuff. That would free up socket pressure a lot, so then you could stack more Golems as well, which would be very good for your own survivability, for your own, and then for your overall just kind of having more guys out there. So that would be my recommendation as far as this goes. But I hope you enjoyed. Hope it looks cool. Like I said, it is fun. Like I've not been upset trying it at all. I've had a really fun time. But yeah, I think I'm moving on to a different character for the time being. I hope you've been having a lot of fun out there in patch 3.26. Mercenaries has been a really good time thus far. Take it easy, stay sane out there, Exiles, and I will see you next time.